Pez?
No, thank you.
Oh, come on, everybody loves Pez.
Yeah, everybody except diabetics.
Can we just please turn around? Our phones don't work, and this road isn't even on the paper map.
Listen, we'll be back to civilization in a few short hours. All right, I promise.
Relax, man. It's just a tire.
Maybe we can ask whoever lives in that insane house to help us. Why don't you guys change at least one of the tires, and I'll go over there and see if anyone's home.
So what happens if you have, like, no insulin?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are so excited to have with us James Villeneuve, the director of a brand new thriller called Pins and Needles. James, hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm really excited about this. I actually love the movie quite a bit. It centers around our hero Max, played by Chelsea Clark, who ends up in a very precarious situation when two friends of hers, Harold and the unknown Keith, take a detour that leads them into, let's just say, mysterious circumstances. Yeah.
Trouble. It's a lot of trouble.
Yeah, there's a lot of trouble going on here. Now, the kicker is Max herself is diabetic, and now it's a race against time and her own blood sugar to see if she can get out of this precarious situation. That about right?
That is pretty bang on. And yeah, I don't know how do you want to start this chat up? I can
Pretty
tell you
easy.
why we went with I was gonna say I can tell you why we went with diabetic and insulin for plot mechanics.
That was going to be the first question anyways, is why was that the main plot mechanic?
Okay. So I do like horror movies and thrillers very much. What I don't like are horror movies and thrillers that make people do stupid things for stupid reasons so that something stupid could happen to scare you. So, I wanted to make a thriller where all the decisions by our hero were the right decision to make. Like they have to do it. There's no other way to get through this. You have to go into the scary house. You have to open that door. You have to go into that dark basement because if she doesn't, she will die. So I wanted to set up a ticking time bomb where our hero has to do the scariest shit and you're not going to be like rolling your eyes about why somebody would do something so silly. You're like, wow, she's smart, she's brave, she's doing the right thing. And if by doing that, you make a film where you can get involved and invested because it's not just flippant. It's like it's really trying hard to make you think along with the hero.
I love that her only stupid mistake was getting into that car with Harold in the first place.
Yeah, she needed the
Which,
ride. What can you say?
what can you do about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's totally fair. Why was Chelsea the right person to play Max? Because she's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, she combines two things that actors need to have. One is just like your own sort of vibe and your take and your own persona and the way you combine that with a new character, right? You've got that as an actress. And then for something that is low budget, where you have no time and only basically two takes for any scene, you need to have somebody who's technically skilled and adept, who can just get into it and get out of it and move on to the next thing. So she could do both. And so she can hit her marks, but she can also cry on cue, which blows my mind. She would say stuff like, hey, do you want me to cry in this take? I'd be like, yes. And then she'd do it. She didn't need 10 minutes to get into it. She just did it. And I don't understand how she could do it. So she was a real trooper. So, physically that film was difficult. So she was able to get through the physical demands. She was able to hit the marks when we only had two takes and a handheld camera and low light, and she was able to just like emote huge when she needed to. And she was able to keep up with the speed of an independent. In fact, she could have been faster and been just as good. So like, it's not all romantic artsy stuff. Sometimes it has to be technically sound and have to move fast. And she was able to do those things as well. So
You're
that's why she
absolutely
was
right
the right
about
choice.
that. You're right about that. Sometimes you just need a little bit of technical prowess, but that also comes
Yeah.
in your perspective as well as a first time feature director, because this is your first feature, right?
Yeah, but I have edited before I did this movie. I mean I was okay. I started out as an editor many years ago. I won't say how many.
Yeah.
And then gradually I made the jump to be a director of commercials and music videos and corporate videos and God knows what else. If there's something to direct, I've directed it. So what helps you be a better director on set is to know how footage is used once you're finished shooting. And so because I have that, I'm able to move very quickly. I know I don't need to get 12 shots to cover a scene. I can get three and know that I can get out of there fast. And so that part of my technically that's what got me through a shoot that was absurdly quick, quicker than it should have been, and just blew my mind that we had a movie when we were done. So yeah, but you need to know how to use footage while you're shooting it so you don't overshoot and you know when you've got what you need so you can move on to the next thing.
I feel like shooting music videos is a lot harder anyway because you're having to sync music with it. You're having to work with musicians, which is always the worst.
You know what? Actually, it's funny. Well, they can be, but a lot of them are super pro. I would say actually what's interesting about music videos is their music videos are like jazz because you can just like that you need to be technically proficient, but it's also a lot of feel and instinct and you know and they're it's very expressive and maybe a scripted feature is more instead of jazz is a bit more like classical music, if that makes sense. It's a bit more structured in a way that's more recognizable to people. So uh, music videos teach you how to move quickly and how to think on your feet and also how to use footage in ways you didn't think you could. And so that really helps you when you're doing more structured stuff. You
I,
realize, oh, I can just do something like this and that'll convey what I need without using any sort of, extra extraneous stuff.
I love that analogy because yeah, jazz is a little more free form improv, and that's kind of how music videos are. A friend of mine, she shoots videos, and she said the same kind of thing. Is it's just sort of existing behind a lens and trying to do fun stuff and cool stuff and creative stuff.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
when
what
I
jazz
when I
is.
started out editing, I started out as a music video editor. So I've cut probably 110 music videos. So that really kind of sharpens you in terms of what you can do with footage. And what's important is how quick a shot can be on screen and have you register something. That's actually a really important skill to have.
Let me
So,
ask you, what's your favorite song from the music videos you've cut?
oh, that's interesting. God, it's like you ever see a dog and there's like six bones on the floor, you don't know which one to pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I recently, like in the last couple of years, I directed a video for a band called the Beaches, and they're a Toronto band of four ladies who are amazing. And it was for a song called T-shirt. I really liked the song, and I was really happy with the video. We emulated the 1970s Top of the Pops episode, which is a British show, live music show. So that I really like that. So that's one that pops to mind. I
It's
direct
funny.
and edit, by the way. So I cut that one and I directed it. So
Love it. I was gonna say I'm familiar with this band, and I think I've seen that video actually.
all right, you're my biggest fan.
No, no, I guess so. I guess today I am your biggest fan. Yes.
I
No,
love
I've
that.
seen the video, and I think it's really really fun, and so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh,
They're a
thanks.
pretty good band, so
Yeah, they're great. They're really
I
nice
love
too.
that. Yeah, that's what you hope for, right? Is
Yeah.
that whoever you're working with is nice. Well, now, whenever I have somebody, especially the first time that they're on with me, because I've had return guests before, but the first
All
time
right.
I get them, I like to ask them two very important questions because I think they tell a lot about you. The first
Okay.
one, very simple, doesn't require much thought. It's just who are some of your inspirations, whether that be personally or professionally.
Uh, okay. Well, like just movie makers that whose career I wish I had.
Just in
I would
general,
say,
yeah.
Jeff. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how I'm thinking about the question. So Jeff Nichols is a guy who I think is amazing. I love his films. It's like they're ripped from my head. I wish I had the savvy, the savvy that he did to be able to raise money for it. Like I don't have that skill set. I know how to direct, write, and edit, but he also has that magical thing where you can also get your films off the ground. And he's so incredibly talented, and I love the way he writes. And so he's a real inspiration for me.
Yeah, I like that
Um,
one. I like that answer.
yeah, and also like based on my age group and why I got into movies, um, there's two or three, childhood influences. One is the Ray Harryhausen movies, like the Sinbad movies. Another is, obviously Star Wars, which is every person in my age group is going to say. And then Spielberg. Those are the people those are things you find when you're a kid that make you realize movie making is a craft and not just a thing that's on TV. But you evolve, and I still love those things. But as you get older, you discover the things that make you happy as an adult. And I'd say Jeff Nichols is the flip side of things. It just makes me happy when I see his films.
You're right. Like a movie like Bike Riders is not the same movie if anybody else writes it. So I totally agree with you on Jeff Nichols.
Yeah, yeah.
I totally agree with you. That's a great poll. I like that answer. Now, the second question is very easy, but also it's the most difficult question you're going to get asked
Okay.
today. Two movies you can watch for the rest of your life. What two and why?
That's a good one. The Black Stallion.
Okay.
Pulling that one right out of nowhere. You did not expect that.
No.
But The Black Stallion is a perfect example of a film that shows you and doesn't tell you. It is pure filmmaking at its very best. So if you haven't seen it, see it and be amazed that a story can be told with so little dialogue for an hour and a half. And it's one of the most beautifully shot films you'll ever see. So
like
see that movie, watch it more than once, love it, live it, enjoy it. So that's one. And then it's such a hard question, right? Like I could say Jaws, I could say Close Encounters. Those are two films that mean a lot to me, from my childhood. But I can think of modern films that really moved me. Like Neon Demon is one that kills me every time. I love it. It's Nicholas Winding Refn or whatever his name is.
Yep.
So I can't answer. I think the Black Stallion is one because it's so pure. It was great as a kid, and it's even better as an adult to me. So I think I'll say that one, and then I'll say 12 others. Second answer.
It's Black Stallion and to be continued. Yeah, that's a great.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the best cop out I've ever heard, actually, for
I
that
love
question.
Thank you.
Like oftentimes they'll be like, "Can I pick like six?" No, you pick two. No, you kind of put an ellipsis on it, so it totally works. I love that.
That's right.
Honestly,
dot. I just dotted you.
My list is like 75 movies long anyway. So
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. That's just the way it is with these things. Now, I want to ask you, when you're writing, especially something like this, because you wrote this movie too, and that doesn't go unawares to me. You mentioned having a character that makes intelligent choices and makes choices that fit and make sense with the plot. How difficult can that be from a screenwriting perspective to look at the overall plot and say, these holes are filled and I like where this is going and this makes sense?
That's a good question. I don't really have any memories of writing it those are the things that I bumped on, right? As soon as I got to a point where I'm like, well, I wouldn't do, like, this doesn't make sense, she wouldn't do it. So it wasn't difficult to weed things out. As soon as I got to a point in the script where I was like, well, that doesn't make sense, I would just make it make sense. So it wasn't actually as hard as you'd think to be. It was harder to come up with the idea than it was to figure out what happened next. The biggest trick that I guess the biggest decision for me was the end of the film, and I won't give anything away, but for most of the film we're with our hero. And then when I was writing the screenplay, it occurred to me that what if I shifted perspective for 5 or 10 minutes, which is completely different than what the rest of the film has been. And that really sort of, that was actually the trickiest thing I had to think of for the entire movie. And I think it sort of makes the ending a more enjoyable because it's less predictable. I hope that's how you felt when you're watching it. Like suddenly like, whoa, we're over here now. Like what's happening, right? So I definitely, that was the trickiest thing. The logic puzzles are easy to me, but that was a filmmaking trick, and that was harder for me.
I found it more of like a good version of an M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Good, good. Thank you. I love every way you put that.
Yeah, because like, you know exactly what I mean too when I say
I
that.
do,
Like,
yeah. I wasn't trying to be overly clever. It was more of a stylistic move rather than like a oh my God, I can't believe this happened. It's just more stylistically, I flipped things on its head for a few minutes.
Which is why it works.
Yeah.
Because if
Thank
you're
you so
doing it
much.
just as a twist, looking at you, Shyamalan, then it doesn't work. and the audience is less surprised and enthusiastic about it and more exhausted and worried about why this happened. And I think that you balance that
Right.
really well. And I know, because I've seen 1.5 million movies doing this job, that it can be very difficult. And so I got to commend you there. That's a really hard thing to do, and you pulled it off. And honestly, job well done.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Now, you mentioned that the Beaches were from Toronto, and I'm sensing a slight accent. Is that going to be accurate, that you yourself are also
I
Canadian?
am, yeah, I'm Canadian. I live in Toronto. I've lived here for about 25, 30 years. And I'm from a small town called Cornwall, Ontario, which, by the way, is where Ryan Gosling is from. I'd like to point that out. There's a
Well,
music store. There's a music store in downtown Cornwall called Melody Music, and on the wall they have his headshot from when he was a musketeer because he gave it to them. And there's a video online of Ryan Gosling giving a tour to his to the viewers of the Musketeer show of Cornwall, Ontario. So there you go. We are basically brothers.
I kind of love that, honestly. That's basically brothers, huh? Well,
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't know this, but I do.
I often like to say that me and Gael Garcia Bernal are brothers, but he doesn't know it
Yeah,
either. So
I would have guessed. So
I'm actually taller than him, which is weird.
right.
Also not difficult because he's like 5'5". So
There you go.
but that's no, I love that. And so what do you find is different about making films independently in Canada? Because I know back in the 80s, specifically with Cronenberg and a lot of the what they called
Yeah.
Canadian tax money movies, they were all so off the wall and off of the beaten path. Do you find that still to be the case in the Canadian independent film scene?
No, it isn't. I can't believe you know about that. The tax movies of the 70s and 80s. That's a deep pull if you're not
This
from
is what we
Canada.
do,
So
man.
you know your shit. I'm just saying that's great. So for anybody that doesn't know, in Canada for a while there was such a crazy tax incentive to make movies here that people were just making them left, right, and center, and a lot of them were weird ripoffs of they were like weird disaster movies, or it was just a weird time. But what it did, I will say this: the films from that era, with the exception of a few, like maybe Cronenberg and a couple of others, most of them are all forgotten because they weren't very good. But what it did do is it trained up an entire generation of people to know how to work on film sets. And that set Canada up so that the TV industry started to come to Toronto because it kind of looks like a big city, but it was cheaper. And so that actually built up the industry that I am part of now. So I owe a debt to those tax films, because now we are probably the fourth biggest production city in Toronto, or sorry, in North America, pardon me. So yeah, we make a lot of stuff here.
And
So
often
things are
confused.
much more corporatized here now than it was back then. So
See, that's the thing that happens when you're successful. But I also think it's funny because now it's often used. Toronto is often used as a substitute for New York City because it's cheaper.
yep.
So
Yes, exactly. Still, yeah.
I really love that. Now I'm gonna wrap you up here because I see that we're almost about out of time. So what I'm gonna
Right.
do is I'm gonna let you leave the audience with an elevator pitch for why they need to check out Pins and Needles, because it is streaming right now. Is that correct?
June 24th.
There you go. Thank you. Street dates June 24th. Why should they check this out?
Well, it is a really tight suspense film with a bit of satirical edge, and it's got a rock solid plot, and you can enjoy. It's always fun to watch a smart person outsmart the bad guys, and with an incredible suspense along the way. So, and a few horror elements. So, if you're into that sort of thing, you'd be crazy not to watch it. Get out there, people, on June 24th to your TV and VOD that stuff.
I love that. That's probably one of the better elevator pitches I've heard. And I ask that question a lot, and it's usually not great. So I love that. Also, make sure you guys watch Videodrome, which is one of the Canadian tax movies, because it's amazing.
Yes.
Love it. Great talking to you today, James. Is there anything else that you want to leave the audience with before I let you go?
Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the movie.
I love the movie. Thanks for having us here today. We appreciate you, and have a wonderful rest of your day, man.
Take care. Thank you.